In a village in Zimbabwe, there lived a big family. The family belonged to the Shona people, a proud and vibrant community. Baba, the father, was a strong and caring man with three wives, Mama Chipo, Mama Tino, and Mama Ruto. He loved all his wives equally and treated them with respect. Together, they had many children, all full of life and laughter. The children loved playing together, racing each other down the dusty village paths, and climbing the old baobab tree that stood at the center of their compound. The morning routine. Every morning before the sun had fully risen, the family woke up to the sound of roosters crowing. The mothers worked together to prepare breakfast. Mama Chipo stirred a pot of thick porridge over an open fire, her hands steady and sure. Mama Tino carefully fried eggs, flipping them in a cast iron pan with ease, while Mama Rudo brewed sweet, hot tea with ginger and honey. The aroma of breakfast filled the air, mingling with the fresh scent of dew-covered grass. The children helped with their small hands. Some set the table with colorful clay bowls, while others fetched water from the well, giggling as they splashed each other. After breakfast, they quickly washed up, knowing that the day's work was waiting. It was a busy but joyful time, full of chatter and shared smiles, a perfect start to every day. Their house was always filled with joy, the air thick with the smell of cooking, the sound of singing, and the laughter of children. The village admired how well Baba managed his family, how the wives worked in harmony, and how the children were always polite and helpful. The family was known for its unity and warmth, a candle of love in the village. A day in the fields. After breakfast, Baba and the older children walked to the fields, carrying hoes and baskets. They grew maize, groundnuts, and vegetables, which provided food for the family and some extra to sell at the market. The sun was hot, but they worked hard, taking breaks under the shade of nearby trees. Baba taught the children about the land, how to plant and harvest, and the importance of respecting nature. Back at home, the younger children stayed with the mothers. They helped with daily chores, sweeping the yard, washing dishes, and feeding the chickens and goats. Mama Chipo taught them how to weave baskets from palm leaves, while Mama Tino showed them how to grind maize with a heavy stone. Mama Rudo, with her soothing voice, sang songs that made even the most mundane tasks feel fun. Story time under the baobab. When the afternoon heat became unbearable, the family would gather under the shade of the ancient baobab tree. The children, with sweat on their brows, eagerly sat in a circle, waiting for the stories that would transport them to another world. Baba, or one of the mothers, would start, their voice rising and falling like a song. They spoke of Nyami Nyami, the river god, of wise hares and tricky monkeys, of brave warriors and clever maidens. The stories were more than just entertainment. They taught lessons of courage, kindness, and wisdom. The children listened intently, their eyes wide with wonder. They asked questions, laughed at the funny parts, and gasped at the exciting ones. This was their favorite time of day, a time when they felt close to their ancestors and learned about their culture. Market Day Adventures. The day of the market was full of excitement. The family arrived at the village center with their goods and set up their stall. The market was alive with colors, sounds, and smells. People from different villages came to buy, sell, and trade. The children wandered around, their eyes wide with curiosity, looking at the various stalls selling everything from dried fish to beautiful fabrics. They played games with other children, tasted roasted maize, and listened to the musicians playing traditional beer music. The mothers haggled cheerfully with customers, while Baba discussed village news with other men. As the sun began to set, they packed up their remaining goods, feeling happy and content with their day's work. The rainy season arrives. One morning, the sky turned dark with heavy clouds, and the rainy season began. The family hurried to protect their crops and animals from the downpour. The fields needed the rain, but too much could wash away the seeds. Baba and the older children dug trenches to channel the water, while the mothers covered the chicken coop with grass thatch. Despite the challenges, the children loved the rain. They splashed in puddles, danced under the falling water, and caught raindrops on their tongues. In the evenings, the family gathered indoors, listening to the rhythmic sound of rain on the roof while sharing stories and songs. The rain brought them closer together, making their home feel even cozier. Learning and growing. As the seasons changed, so did the children. Baba and the mothers taught them new skills. The older boys learned to fish in the nearby river, while the girls practiced weaving and beadwork. The children went to the village school where they learned to read, write, and count. They came home excited, sharing what they had learned. The mothers taught them about herbs and medicines, how to find the right plants to cure a fever or soothe a cough. Baba taught them about respect, responsibility, and the importance of family. Each day brought new lessons, new challenges, and new ways to grow. A new day dawns. One day, Baba gathered the family and told them of his plans to build a new house, one big enough to fit them all comfortably. The family cheered, and everyone offered to help. The older children gathered stones and clay. The mothers made bricks, and the younger children carried water. They sang as they worked, feeling proud to build something together. As the sun set, the frame of the new house stood strong, a testament to their love and unity. Baba smiled and thanked them all, saying, "Together, we can achieve anything." The family hugged, tired but happy, knowing that tomorrow would bring new challenges and joys, and they would face them as one. School time. After breakfast, the children gathered their books, slung their bags over their shoulders, and prepared for their daily journey to school. The path to the village school was long and winding, cutting through fields and crossing a small stream. The children walked together, holding hands, with the older ones leading the way and looking after the younger ones. They moved like a small army, their feet pattering softly on the dusty road. The walk was filled with laughter and chatter. As they neared the stream, they would often stop to splash water on their faces or dip their toes in the cool, clear water. The stream was their friend, a place where they could refresh themselves and play for a few minutes before continuing on their way. They would take turns carrying the youngest child, who sometimes got tired and needed a bit of help. At school, they sat in small classrooms, listening carefully to their teachers. They learned about math, science, and Shona history, but they also learned about water, the most precious resource in their village. Their teachers taught them how to conserve water, respect it, and use it wisely. The children understood that every drop counted, especially during the dry season when the village's well could run low. As the sun rose higher in the sky, they eagerly awaited the end of the school day, knowing their journey back would be filled with more fun and perhaps another chance to stop by the stream. After school fun. When school ended, the children ran back home, their feet kicking up dust as they raced each other along the path. They were eager to finish their homework so they could enjoy the rest of the day. As soon as they arrived, they quickly settled around a table in the shade and opened their books, their pencils scratching on paper as they hurried to complete their assignments. Once their homework was done, the village came alive with their laughter and shouts of joy. The boys and girls split into teams for a game of soccer, using a ball made from tightly wound cloth and string. Others climbed trees, daring each other to reach the highest branches, while some practiced balancing on a narrow wooden beam. One of the children's favorite games was playing near the village's well. They would challenge each other to carry buckets of water on their heads without spilling a drop. It was a game of balance and strength, but it also reminded them of the importance of water. Sometimes they would take turns drawing water from the deep well, feeling the heavy weight of the bucket as it rose, reminding them of the hard work their mothers did each day. The mothers watched with smiles as their children played, happy to see them so full of life and energy. They called them back as the sun began to dip low in the sky, reminding them to wash up and prepare for the evening meal. The sound of their laughter slowly faded, replaced by the calming sounds of the village preparing for night. The weekend market. The weekend arrived, and with it came the excitement of market day. The family woke up early, preparing their goods for sale. The mother sorted through baskets of fresh vegetables, fruits, and colorful crafts they had made throughout the week. Mama Chipo checked the ripeness of the tomatoes, while Mama Tino polished the bead necklaces and Mama Ruto carefully arranged clay pots. The family loaded their goods onto a donkey cart, and the children piled in around the baskets, their faces bright with anticipation. The journey to the market was filled with chatter and laughter as they talked about what they might see and who they might meet. The market was a lively place, with stalls filled with everything from dried fish to handmade baskets, and the air was thick with the smells of grilled maize and spices. At the market, the mothers took turns running their stall, chatting with customers and proudly displaying their wares. Baba talked to the other men in the village, exchanging news and discussing the best times for planting and harvesting. The children played nearby, watching the people come and go, marveling at the colors and sounds of the busy marketplace. They were fascinated by the traders from other villages, some of whom spoke in different dialects or wore different styles of clothing. After selling their goods, the family used their earnings to buy essentials: salt, sugar, and a little fabric. If there was money left, they might treat the children to some roasted groundnuts or sweet buns. As the sun began to set, they packed up their stall and headed home, tired but happy. The market day had been a success, and they looked forward to the next one. Family meeting. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Baba called for a family meeting. The entire family gathered under the big baobab tree, whose branches spread wide like a giant umbrella, offering cool shade. The air was filled with the sound of crickets, and a soft breeze rustled the leaves. Baba sat on a low stool, his face serious but kind. The mothers and children settled around him, waiting quietly. "We must talk about water," Baba began, his voice deep and resonant. "The rains have been scarce this year, and we must be careful with what we have. Water is life, and without it we cannot grow our crops, cook our food, or quench our thirst." Mama Chipo nodded in agreement. "We will need to fetch more water from the river, and we must make sure not to waste a single drop," she added. The children listened intently. They knew water was important, but this was the first time they understood just how precious it was. Baba spoke of working together and helping each other. He reminded them that they were one big family and that everyone had an important role. The older children would help carry water, the younger ones would learn to use it sparingly, and the mothers would teach them all the ways to conserve it in the home. The family agreed and promised to do their best. As the meeting ended, Baba smiled and said, "Remember, just as the baobab needs water to grow tall and strong, so do we need water to keep our family healthy and happy. Let us be wise and grateful for what we have." They all nodded, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. The baobab tree seemed to nod with them, its leaves whispering in the evening breeze as if blessing their resolve. Sibling rivalry. In a big family, it was only natural for the children to have disagreements from time to time. One afternoon, Kuda and Tanashi had a heated argument over a small carved wooden toy that Baba had made. Kuda insisted he had the toy first, while Tanashi was equally sure it was his turn to play with it. Their voices grew louder, and soon the other children stopped what they were doing to watch. The mothers were quick to intervene. Mama Chipo took Kuda by the hand, and Mama Tino held on to Tanashi. "Enough of this fighting," Baba said firmly as he walked over, his tall frame casting a shadow on the ground. "Let us sit and talk about what has happened." The family gathered under the shade of the big baobab tree. Baba asked both Kuda and Tanashi to explain their side of the story. Kuda spoke first, his voice quivering slightly as he said, I was playing with it first, Baba, and Tanashi snatched it from me. Tanashi, in defense, responded, but Kuda always gets to play with it. I just wanted a turn. Baba listened carefully to both sides, nodding thoughtfully. The mothers joined in the discussion. Mama Chipo suggested that perhaps the children could take turns with the toy. Mama Tino proposed using a timer so everyone knew when it was their turn to play. Mama Rudo, always the peacemaker, added that sharing is not just about taking turns but about being happy for each other's joy. The children agreed that this was fair, and the tension began to ease. Koda looked at Tanashi and said, "I'm sorry for not sharing." Tanashi, with a small smile, replied, "I'm sorry too for taking it from you." They hugged each other tightly, their faces breaking into wide grins. Baba and the mothers smiled, proud to see the children learning to solve their problems and support each other better. A new baby. The day Mama Tino had a baby was filled with excitement and anticipation. Early in the morning, the family sensed that something special was about to happen. Mama Tino's labor pains had started, and the village midwife was called to assist. Baba and the other mothers gathered around, offering comfort and support. The older children were instructed to look after the younger ones, keeping them calm and busy while the adults focused on helping Mama Tino. The air was filled with a mixture of nervousness and joy. The children whispered excitedly among themselves, wondering if they would have a new brother or sister. They gathered flowers and leaves to decorate the entrance of their hut, a small but meaningful gesture to welcome the new baby. As the sun rose higher in the sky, the sound of a newborn's cry filled the air. Mama Tino had given birth to a healthy baby girl. A wave of relief and happiness washed over the family. Baba's face lit up with pride, and the mothers embraced each other, tears of joy streaming down their faces. The children were invited in one by one to see their new sibling. They gazed in wonder at the tiny baby. Her face scrunched up as she blinked in the bright light. "She is so small," Kuda whispered, his eyes wide. "And so beautiful," added Tanashi with a smile. The children took turns holding the baby, their hands careful and gentle. They sang songs and gave small handmade gifts, each one eager to welcome the newest member of their family. Baba announced, "This baby is a blessing to our big family. She brings us even closer together." The mothers agreed, nodding with smiles of contentment. That night, they celebrated with a simple meal and sang songs of gratitude and joy. The baby slept peacefully in her mother's arms, unaware of the happiness she had brought into their lives. Helping each other. With the arrival of the new baby, the family quickly realized that they would all have to pitch in more to manage the extra work. The newborn demanded much of Mama Tino's time and attention, leaving the others to handle additional chores. Baba called a family meeting under the baobab tree to discuss how they would share the responsibilities. "We must all help each other," Baba began, looking around at his family with a serious but kind expression. "A new baby brings joy, but also work. We are a big family, and together we can do anything." The children nodded, understanding that they needed to contribute more to support their mothers and Baba. The older children were tasked with fetching water from the well, a job that required strength and care. They formed a line, passing buckets from one to another with practiced ease. The younger children were given lighter duties, such as sweeping the courtyard and helping to gather firewood. Mama Chipo and Mama Rudo continued to cook and clean, but now they also assisted Mama Tino in caring for the baby. Despite the extra work, no one complained. They sang songs as they worked, their voices blending harmoniously, turning the chores into a game. Baba praised them for their teamwork and reminded them how important it was to support each other. "When we work together," he said, "we can make even the hardest tasks seem light." As the days passed, the family settled into a new routine. The children grew stronger and more confident in their abilities, feeling proud to contribute to the family's well-being. The mothers were grateful for the help, and the love in the family deepened. Each member knew they could rely on the others, and this bond made them feel even closer. The festival. The village was buzzing with excitement as preparations for the annual festival were underway. The Shona people loved to celebrate, and this festival was the highlight of the year. Colorful cloths were hung up between huts, and the smell of roasting maize and sizzling meat filled the air. Everyone wore their best clothes. The women donned vibrant dresses adorned with beads, and the men wore freshly pressed shirts. The big family was especially excited. Baba dressed in his finest, with a bright blue shirt that matched the clear sky. His three wives, Mama Chipo, Mama Tino, and Mama Rudo, wore matching dresses of red, green, and yellow, their laughter and joy infectious as they helped the children prepare. The children were a flurry of excitement, adjusting their outfits and polishing their shoes. When the festival began, the family joined the other villagers in a large open space near the village center. There were drums beating in a steady rhythm, and soon the dancing started. Baba took turns dancing with each of his wives, his feet moving deftly to the beat of the drums. The children clapped and cheered, their eyes wide with delight. They danced together in a circle, laughing and spinning around, their movements free and joyous. There were games for the children, and they raced each other in sack races, balanced eggs on spoons, and tried to catch each other's tails in a game of catch the tail. The mothers cheered on their children, their hands clapping to the rhythm of the music. Later, everyone gathered around a large fire to enjoy a feast of grilled meats, maize, and fresh fruits. As the night deepened, the stars came out and the music grew louder. Baba raised his voice over the music and said, "Tonight we celebrate not just our village, but the love and unity of our big family." The children felt a sense of pride and belonging, their hearts swelling with happiness. They knew they were a part of something special, something that would last forever. Handling jealousy. Jealousy was a feeling that sometimes crept into the hearts of the children, even though they loved each other dearly. One day, Baba surprised Kuda with a new pair of shoes. They were bright red with sturdy soles, perfect for running and playing. Kuda was overjoyed and couldn't stop showing off his new shoes to everyone in the village. He ran, jumped, and danced, enjoying the comfort and newness of the gift. Tanashi watched from a distance, a small frown forming on his face. He couldn't help but feel left out. His own shoes were old and worn, with patches on the sides. He wondered why Baba had given Kuda new shoes and not him. His feelings of sadness soon turned into jealousy. He started avoiding Kuda, ignoring his calls to play, and refused to even look at the new shoes. Baba noticed the tension between the two brothers. He saw Tanashi's gloomy face and decided to have a talk with him. He sat Tanashi down under the baobab tree, the place where all serious discussions were held. "Tanashi, I see you're upset," Baba began gently. "Can you tell me what's troubling you?" Tanashi hesitated but then blurted out, "Why does Kuda get new shoes and not me? It's not fair." Baba smiled kindly and said, "I understand how you feel, my son. Sometimes when someone else gets something nice, it can make us feel sad or left out. But we must learn to be happy for others. It is Kuda's turn today. Your turn will come soon." Baba then called Kuda over and reminded him that while it was okay to be proud of his new shoes, he should also be mindful of others' feelings. Kuda nodded and offered to share his shoes with Tanashi for a while. The two brothers smiled at each other, their jealousy melting away. They promised to support each other and celebrate everyone's good fortune together. The children learned that jealousy could be overcome with understanding, kindness, and sharing. Welcoming guests. The big family often welcomed visitors into their home, and they were known throughout the village for their hospitality. One day, a distant relative named Uncle Jabu came to stay with the family for a while. Uncle Jabu was tall and thin, with a kind face and a hearty laugh that filled the room. He had traveled far and needed a place to rest. The children were excited about having a guest, but they soon realized that having someone new around required some adjustments. Uncle Jabu needed a place to sleep, which meant the children had to share their beds and sleeping mats. At first, they grumbled. Why do we have to give up our space? Kuda asked. Mama Tino gently reminded them, in our family, we are always generous. A guest is a blessing, and we must make them feel at home. The children thought about this and decided to make Uncle Jabu as comfortable as possible. They rearranged their sleeping spots, fetched extra blankets, and even made a little pillow for him out of old cloth. During the day, the children shared their toys and games with Uncle Jabu. He loved playing with them and told them stories from his travels. They learned about other villages and places they had never heard of before. Uncle Jabu had a way of making even the simplest stories sound magical, and the children gathered around him eagerly, their eyes wide with wonder. By the end of his stay, the children were sad to see Uncle Jabu go, but they had learned an important lesson about sharing and kindness. They realized that welcoming guests into their home was a way of enriching their own lives. The family waved goodbye to Uncle Jabu, their hearts full of warmth and happiness from the experience of sharing their home. Handling misunderstandings. One quiet evening, as the sun began to set and the sky turned a brilliant shade of orange, a small misunderstanding brewed in the big family's home. Mama Rudo overheard Mama Chipo telling a story to the children and thought she heard her name mentioned in a negative way. Mama Rudo felt her heart sink, thinking that Mama Chipo was speaking poorly about her. She walked away, feeling hurt and upset. Mama Rudo's demeanor changed. She became quiet and distant, no longer smiling or joining in the evening's conversations. The family noticed her change in mood, and Baba decided to find out what was wrong. He approached Mama Rudo and asked gently, "What's troubling you, my dear?" She hesitated at first, but then explained how she felt. Baba listened carefully and then said, "Let us talk to Mama Chipo. It is important to clear up any misunderstandings." They called Mama Chipo over, and Baba explained what Mama Rudo had heard. Mama Chipo was surprised and quickly reassured Mama Rudo. "I would never speak ill of you. I was telling the children a funny story about a chicken we chased together, not about you." Mama Rudo realized it was just a misunderstanding. The two women looked at each other and laughed, feeling a wave of relief. Mama Chipo placed a hand on Mama Rudo's shoulder and said, "I am sorry if I caused you to feel hurt. Let's always talk things through, so we don't have any misunderstandings." Mama Rudo nodded, smiling. They hugged, their bond stronger than before. The family learned that it is always best to communicate openly and honestly to avoid hurt feelings. From that day on, they promised to speak up whenever they felt unsure or hurt, knowing that clear communication was the key to a harmonious family life. The importance of patience. Living in a large family, patience was an essential virtue that everyone needed to learn. With so many people sharing a single home, it wasn't always easy to wait for your turn or to remain calm when things didn't go as planned. Baba decided it was time to teach the children about the importance of patience. One day, he gathered the children under the shade of the baobab tree. "Do you know why patience is important?" he asked. The children looked at each other, unsure of how to answer. "Patient," Baba continued, "means waiting calmly for things to happen, even when you feel like shouting or rushing." He told them a story about a time when he was young and had to wait for days to get a small toy he wanted. At first, he felt angry and impatient, but he soon learned that waiting made him appreciate the toy even more when he finally got it. The children listened carefully, understanding that patience was not just about waiting, but also about understanding and appreciating what you have. Throughout the week, Baba and the mothers gave the children small tasks that required them to wait and be patient. They took turns fetching water, waiting to be served food, and helping in the kitchen. At first, there were a few grumbles and sighs, but slowly, the children learned to wait without complaining. They realized that things went much more smoothly when everyone waited their turn and helped each other. By the end of the week, the family noticed a change. The children were calmer, more understanding, and kinder to each other. They felt proud of their newfound patience and knew it was a lesson that would help them throughout their lives. Celebrating differences. In a family as big as theirs, everyone had their unique ways of doing things. Mama Chipo loved to sing while she cooked, her voice filling the air with beautiful melodies that made the children smile. Mama Tina was very organized. She liked everything in its place and often rearranged the house to make it more efficient. Mama Rudo, on the other hand, was the storyteller. She had a way of bringing stories to life, her voice full of emotion and expression. At first, the children found it confusing that each mother did things differently. Sometimes they would go to Mama Tino for help and be told to follow strict rules, while Mama Rudo would encourage them to explore their creativity, and Mama Chipo would sing songs to make the task fun. They wondered why the mothers couldn't just do things the same way. One day, Baba gathered the children and said, "I see you are confused by how different your mothers are. But remember, these differences are what make our family rich and interesting. If everyone did things the same way, life would be boring." He explained how Mama Chipo's singing made cooking joyful, how Mama Tino's organization kept the house in order, and how Mama Rudo's stories taught them about life and history. The children began to see the beauty in these differences. They realized that each mother's way had its own special value. They decided to learn from each of their mothers and appreciate what each brought to the family. They enjoyed Mama Chipo's songs, followed Mama Tino's organized routines, and eagerly awaited Mama Rudo's bedtime stories. The children felt grateful to be in a family where everyone was encouraged to be themselves. The power of forgiveness. Forgiveness was an important value in the big family. With so many people living together, it was inevitable that mistakes would happen and feelings would be hurt. Baba always emphasized that to keep their family close, they had to learn to forgive each other. One day, Kuda accidentally broke Tinashe's favorite toy. Tinashe was furious and refused to speak to Kuda. He held onto his anger, his little face scrunched up in a frown, and avoided Kuda for the rest of the day. Baba noticed the tension and called the boys over. "In a big family, we must always make room for forgiveness," he said gently. "Kuda, what do you have to say?" Kuda looked down, ashamed. "And sorry, Tinis. I didn't mean to break your toy," he said softly. Baba turned to Tinashe. "When someone asks for forgiveness, we must open our hearts. Holding on to anger only makes us sad." Tinashe thought for a moment, then nodded. "I forgive you, Kuda," he replied, his face softening. The two boys hugged, and the tension disappeared. The family learned that forgiving was not just about saying sorry, but about letting go of the hurt and allowing love to fill its place. Baba reminded everyone, we all make mistakes, but forgiveness helps us stay close and happy. From that day on, whenever someone made a mistake, they were quick to apologize and just as quick to forgive. The big family learned that forgiveness was like a bridge connecting hearts and bringing peace. It helped them grow stronger together, knowing that no matter what happened, their love for each other would always remain. Conclusion: a family bound by love. The story of the big family is a celebration of love, unity, and the values that bind a community together. With the guidance of Baba and the wisdom of their mothers, they grew not only in size but in spirit. Throughout the narrative, the baobab tree stands as a symbol of their unity and resilience. Under its broad shade, they laughed, cried, resolved conflicts, and shared countless memories. The family knew that, like the tree, their roots ran deep and would hold them together no matter the storms they faced. Ultimately, the big family story reminds us all that true strength lies in compassion, understanding, and the willingness to forgive. They embraced each other's flaws and celebrated each other's strengths, always striving to be a little more patient, a little more giving, and a little more loving each day. They showed that family is not just about living together. It's about growing together, learning from each other, and always standing by each other's side. The big family leaves a legacy of love, teaching us that no matter how different we may be, our shared bonds and values can create a powerful, unbreakable connection.